Good morning folks, and welcome to Down Dusty Roads. My name is Colin, and on my channel I document my rides mainly in the Great and Little Karoo, but also from further afield as time allows. Currently I'm going down the Langkloof and the sun has just come up over the mountains. Sunrise was at about, I think, 5:30 this morning. We're currently about 10 to 6. And look at this beautiful light on the magic Langkloof. The first bit of our ride today is on tar from Oudtshoorn down the Langkloof, just short of Uniondale. And then the real ride begins. We're going to be going down Prince Alfred's Pass and into Knysna. This is our turn off. Just turned off now onto Prince Alfred's Pass. So that's really the story for the day. Prince Alfred's Pass, of course, another one of Thomas Baines's passes, and we'll talk a bit about that as we ride today. So this road takes us from the interior of the Langkloof, very close to Uniondale, down to Knysna. You could also go off to Plettenberg Bay, but I'm going to take the Knysna section. I think there's 7 river crossings on this route. There you can see some of the rock retaining walls. Big retaining walls here. Prince Alfred's Pass is 68.5 kilometers long and is named after Queen Victoria's fourth child, Prince Alfred. It was built by the legendary road builder Thomas Bain between the years of 1863 and 1867, using between 250 and 270 convict labourers. The road construction through pretty much every possible obstacle in front of the builders. Traverses 4 different biomes, so there's a large or diverse wildlife and flora and fauna. Thomas Bain used his famous retaining walls in this pass, using friction and cohesion, using rocks to build a wall at an angle of 15 degrees, all dry packed, and then backfill in to create walls that have held up over the test of time. The pass is the longest publicly accessible pass in the country, and it is also the second oldest pass still in use in the country. The pass was built in order to facilitate trade between the coastal towns of Knysna and Plettenberg Bay and the towns of Graafrenet and Uniondale in the interior. The rock walls, the rock retaining walls on this pass are up to 16 meters high. The total cost of the pass was £13,000 sterling. And as I say, it was completed in 1867. In the construction of the bridges over the rivers, Bain used stinkwood beams that he set into the rocks. The rocks had slots carved out of them in order to take the beams, and the beams lasted in excess of 40 years and were finally replaced in 1930. In picking a line for the route, Thomas Bain used, where he could, the routes used by the elephants to traverse the area, as well as the Khoisan and hunter-gatherer routes, as they generally had the easiest gradients. The pass was officially opened in September of 1868 at a cost of £13,000 sterling. Thomas Bain was born in Graafrenet to Andrew Bain, who himself was a renowned road builder. Thomas was one of 11 kids, and I think he must have done his father proud, because he himself had 13 kids. Thomas learned his trade of road building under the watchful eyes of his father, and he was apprenticed to his dad in the construction by his father of Mitchell's Pass and Bain's Kloof Pass. Yeah, his father was a renowned road builder himself. Thomas ended up having outclassed his dad, I think, and completed 29 passes, mainly in the Cape Colony during his lifetime. Here you can see some of these fantastic rock walls, retaining walls. Let's have a look, see what I can do here. I've got to find a place to pull over, but it's a bit tricky, space-wise. See if I can grab a spot here. Lovely spot up here. And this one, I've always liked that place. Very nice. So that's an example of the bridge that, where the beams had to be replaced in 1930 because of the stinkwood finally disintegrating. Now I can see there's a bit of water flowing here, rather nice. Let's see if I can show you this. We are approaching the Vlugt in the next short while, and that is a little settlement that started when, during the construction of the pass, Thomas Bain created a little settlement there for himself and his workers. That was the start of it all. And to this day is a tiny little settlement there. There's, of course, the famous Angie's G-spot, which we'll probably stop at just quickly, have a look at. Angie and Harold. But it's a long and sad story, actually, because they built their house below the floodline, below the 100-year floodline, I think it was. Either the 100-year floodline or the 50-year floodline. And then they lived there perfectly happily for many years, and some mouse crossing the road there. And at some point, some new neighbors moved in, and they weren't happy with the place for some reason, and they caused problems in the planning department, and eventually Angie and Harold were forced to dismantle half of their buildings that they built there. It's a place where a lot of bikers stop, a bit like so here we're approaching the Vlugt. A bit like Ronnie's sex shop. It's a spot you've got to stop at least once in your life. Same with Angie's G-spot. They advertise lousy food and warm beer. It's actually quite a quaint spot, a beautiful setting on the river. So look at this in the lovely light. So Angie's is literally just up there. So this is the quaint settlement of the Vlugt. It's a little coffee type shop there. Not open, a bit early for that. I wonder if Angie's is open actually at this time. We'll have to go and have a look. So that road there takes you back to the Langkloof road. I actually mentioned there's a turn off there. It's actually a lovely ride, that road too. So maybe that's another version of the Prince Alfred Pass that I'll do. The reason why I didn't come through there is that if you take this road, you miss out on this beautiful section here. So I wanted to do that. The pass itself keeps on going for another good few k's, and we're nowhere near the end yet. Yeah, so this is the Vlugt. A real one-horse town. So there's the mountain passes of South Africa board. So I'll stop here and have a quick cool drink, I think, take a photograph or two. Chat to you later. I'll have a quick cool drink. Or something to drink in any case. Let's go and have a look and see if Angie's G-spot is open. If not, I'm going to wait a few minutes here. I really want to go in there. It seems to be there's a fire on. So, see, hot beer, lousy food, bad service, cock accommodation. Let's find out. So I'm not the only biker here, there's already a biker here. So it obviously is open. Okay, so this is Angie's. Let's go and have a look around. It's been a while since I was here. So I've found out that Harold, when Angie passed away, he wanted to sell it, and I thought he had. But apparently not. And now he's got himself a new missus, or a new girlfriend anyway. And he keeps on doing what they were doing when Angie was alive. So their spot used to be here. Their bus. And I think it was like a bus that they converted into a home, which had to demolish because of the business about being below the flood line. They'd been here for years and nothing had ever happened. Personally, I think it was a load of nonsense, but anyway. So yeah, look how pretty this is. What a great setting, huh? Here by the river. I'm going to probably have, well, at least something to drink here. And maybe something, toasted sandwich or something for breakfast. It's only just 8 o'clock. So what a beautiful spot. So the story is, Harold was a bike rider, and he and Angie were on the bike ride, and they saw the spot. And they were living, I think, in Plet at the time. And when they got home, Angie said, no, she's found her spot. So this spot became known as, between the two of them, this was her spot, and so it became her G-spot. And they decided at some point that they wanted to look for property. And they came across some guy, I think Harold knew him from biking days, I'm not sure. But either way, and he knew of someone that was looking to sell a piece of ground in the area. And so they said, well, let's go and have a look. And to their amazement, the piece of ground that was for sale was this spot, which was the very spot that they had seen and decided that they absolutely loved. So that's how I got the name Angie's G-spot. Yeah, a couple of years ago, Angie passed away. I think she had cancer, if I remember correctly. And as I say, I had thought for some reason or other that Harold had sold it. I think after all the problems with the planning, and they didn't have the money to fight the case, and then they had to knock down stuff and rebuild stuff. And I thought he had sold it, and that it was now under new ownership, but apparently not. I've just met the new girl. breakfast, a toasted sandwich, bacon and cheese. All good. There's some more of those rock walls. Bit of a drop off here. Couldn't have been easy cutting a road through here in the time that Baines built it. I mean, it's obviously quite thick vegetation. Very pretty. Change of vegetation again now that we're sort of on top. Ride along the ridges a bit now. And then drop down again into the forest. So I'm going to stop here and talk a little bit about this structure, sculpture, whatever you want to call it. We'll talk about it now. This is called Calling the Herd. And it's to do with the elephants of the old days. They used to come through here. And it's by internationally renowned South African sculptor Strydom van der Merwe. It's called Calling the Herd. It consists of interactive trumpets that symbolically call the elephant herds along the mountain ridge overlooking the valley. In the Keurboom's corridor, you can blow the trumpets, recalling the sounds of the elephants on their ancient migration routes across the mountains. So it's quite interesting. I'm going to leave the camera right where it is and see if I can go and blow the trumpets and see what sort of sound it makes. I'll leave the camera there on the wall and go and have a look if I can blow these trumpets and see what sort of noise they make. So whilst we're here talking about the Calling the Herd sculpture, which has to do with the elephants, let's just talk quickly about the Knysna elephants. The Knysna elephants are the last of the most southern elephants on the African continent, and officially they are the only free-ranging elephants in South Africa. All other elephant populations are in nature reserves, so are confined. In 1876 it was estimated that 400 elephants roamed the forests, and a 1969 survey showed that only 10 elephants remained. It's a rather sad decline. In 1994 a survey showed that there was only one female elephant left of the original herds, only one remaining. And to this day, that one is still alive. There was, I don't know, a few months ago, I'm not sure if it was a live sighting or one of these camera trap sightings, but there was a sighting very recently of the elephant. She must be getting on in years now. So yeah, that is very sad that the elephant population is basically all but gone. Yeah, one of the other things, especially as we go through the forest areas, any bird watchers might find it interesting that there are more than 280 species of birds in and around Knysna. So plenty to look forward to if you're a birder. Anyway, let's go and have a look here. So yes, Calling the Herd, Strydom van der Merwe, celebrating the founding of the conservation corridor. Yeah, so very unusual, but interesting. You can see if I get a better shot here this way versus into the light, maybe against the, with the light. Yeah. So that's the sculpture, Calling the Herd. So that way towards Uniondale, that way towards Plet, this way towards Knysna, and I guess we'll be on our way. Now you see the beautiful fynbos in the veld here on the right hand side, the proteus mainly, other fynbos too. Really beautiful. Looking forward to getting under the canopy of the forest. It's warmed up quite a bit. Yesterday it was an absolute scorcher and not a breath of wind. Now I'm going down towards the coast, so it won't be as hot as it is in and around Oudtshoorn, but it's still pretty warm when you've got your riding gear on. Further along here, depending on time, we might take a walk in. But off the road is the site of one of the large trees in the forest. One of the large Oudtshoorn yellowwoods. Massive old tree, 600 years old, they estimate. At least 600 years old. So this picnic spot is called Valley of the Ferns. Rather lovely, actually. So I'm going to take a quick walk down there. Just want to show you what it looks like here amongst the canopy or under the canopy on the sort of ground level. So obviously dense undergrowth, all the ferns and stuff. You look up into the canopy. Really lovely. Yeah, so this is what it looks like under the canopy. Pretty dense. Let's go and see, take a look at the viewpoint. Okay, so here we are at the top, the view site. And look at that, that is pretty much a 360-degree view. Rather lovely. Really, as far as the eye can see, all the way to the coast pretty much, that side. And this side, as far as the mountains allow you to see. Awesome. Right, back on the road. back under the canopy. Lovely, it's a whole lot cooler now. Right, so let's go and have a look at the big tree. Yeah, this brings back memories. Let me stop here somewhere. So let's just quickly go and have a look at right here. I'm not going to take the camera off the helmet now, just walking, show you and leave again. So that's a pretty big tree. Oudtshoorn yellowwood. That's a massive tree. I'm going to have to take the camera off. So there we go. It's estimated to be more than 600 years old. Total height 37 meters. A spread at the head of the tree, the crown, 36 meters. Circumference 7 meters. Diameter at the breast height 2.12, so 2.2 meters, or roughly 2.2 meters across. That's amazing. 48 cubic meters of wood right here. So let's just have a look at that. And the canopy, pretty awesome, man. Yeah, the camera really doesn't do it justice. Yeah. Elephant Nature Trail. It is a big tree. I guess not compared to the redwoods in the US. But it's a pretty big tree in anyone's language. Yellowwood. We make some beautiful furniture out of the timber of that tree. Alright, I'm not going to stay. I'm going to move on. They're obviously harvesting some timber here. We're getting towards the end of the pass now. We'll be dropping into Knysna quite soon. There's a tar road. I wonder, I think this is, I think it's tarred from here on in. I can't remember, it's been a while since I did this road. Yeah, this will be it. So folks, that's the end of Prince Alfred's Pass. 68.5 kilometers of it. Quite an undertaking considering the time that it was built. Bird of Prey just dropped down and got a mouse. There he is. Oh, I hope I didn't chase him off it. So we're just coming into Knysna now. I'll tell you a little bit about Knysna. I'm not going to go too crazy, but perhaps I will try and show you one or two of the nice spots. Let's just go down here. We'll head towards the heads. So this on the left is the golf course, and on the right we have Leisure Isle, and straight ahead over there, the Knysna Heads. Now you can either get to the heads right at the bottom, be close up to the water, but whether I'll get parking at this time is another matter, but maybe I'll make a turn there, just see. The other option is to go right to the top of the hill, and then you obviously get a fantastic view, but that is you're also not guaranteed of parking up there. I'll just show you briefly here. So here's Knysna Heads. The viewpoint up there, you can see people up there. I don't know if you can see it with this camera, but you get a lovely view up there too. This down at sea level is lovely. So a little bit about the history of Knysna, very brief history. 40 fossilized hominid footprints were found in the area, dating back some 90,000 years. And this, together with certain other archaeological finds, made it clear that humans have inhabited the area for quite some time. The first white settlers moved into the area in 1770, and in 1780 the first farmer, Stephanus de Blance, was allocated a farm on the eastern side of the Knysna Lagoon. The farm was called Melkhout Kraal. One of the early families in the area to make a name for themselves in Knysna, well, the history of Knysna, was the Tissot family. And they, from a very early time, set up a steam sawmill and a small harbour. And at some point they moved their facilities to what was then known as Pardon Island, which was later then renamed Thesen Island. Theson's Island, and we're actually going to go there now. We take a left here to get to Theson's Island. One of the other big family names in the area here is the Parks. So George Parks was a Scot, and he moved from the UK to Knysna at a very early age, a very early stage of the development of Knysna, and he was involved in timber, and he sold Knysna hardwood timber. Yeah, so George Parks exported Knysna hardwood timber first throughout the country and later across the world, and became a very central figure in the Knysna's history. Their factory was built in the center, well, what is now the center of town. And at a later point, not that long ago now, they built a new factory in the industrial area. And for quite a few years, the old factory in the centre of town just was almost like a stock holding point. They had all sorts of things there. I mean, they even had parts of wooden wagon wheels. It really was an interesting place. And then at a later stage, they decided to convert that or change. It was useless as it was, and it was in prime area because it was now in the centre of town. So they actually developed it into a shopping mall. Well, originally they called it the Knysna Forest Company, which then became, at some point, George Parks and Sons. Now, George Parks Jr., I met when I was at university. He was at Stellenbosch University. I was at Cape Town. And we spent many a time skiing, both here at Knysna Lagoon, as well as all the big dams in the Western Cape. Used to stay at his mother's house here. I never knew his father. His father had already passed away. But he used to stay at his mother's house here in Knysna on the edge of the lagoon. I think they don't own that property anymore, but I might be wrong. So George, I don't know if you will by chance see this, but if you do, I haven't seen you for a while, so I hope you're well. And maybe we should catch up again. We don't live that far apart. The Tissot family, of course, they used to export their timber mainly to the Cape at the time. They were the other big timber family, the other big name in town. The Tissots and the Parks. There are only two other things I want to mention about Knysna. First is I want to just go past George Parks, their old family home, and see if I can see it. I think it's been sold and turned into some sort of lodge. Might be incorrect in saying that, but I think so. And with the widening of the main road out of Knysna towards Sedgefield, and the main entrance to the house, or the entrance to the house, which always used to be on that main side, on the lagoon side, probably they had to move it to the side of the house. So I'm just going to make a turn there and see if I can see it, because you won't see anything of the house from the road because of all the vegetation. But maybe going up the side road you might see something there. It's such a beautiful old house. In the days that I used to stay there, they used to have a sort of a donkey boiler that heated the water for the house. It was quite a few years ago. Oh, let's have a look. See, I think if I go up here, yes, this looks like it. There you go, Parks Manor. I'm sure this is sold, and so it was all through here. You may well see here on the left hand side. Yeah, look at this, they've got the entrance here now. Don't know if you can see anything there, but this is a truly magnificent place. Look at that. Lovely. Really beautiful old place, this. Yeah, you see it's been divided into almost like flats. Oh. Yeah, so the only other thing I want to talk about briefly is the devastating fire in Knysna and surrounds from 2017. Seems like yesterday. On the 7th of June 2017, a devastating fire was whipped up by, let's get across here, a devastating fire was whipped up by winds from a significant storm that coming from the west, and it very quickly got out of control, what with the winds being as strong as they were, and the fire killed a number of people. Various reports say different numbers, but between 7 and 11, cost those people their lives, and it displaced about 10,000 people, and it also destroyed 16,000 hectares of plantations and houses and forestry land. So it was an absolutely devastating fire, and because of the strength of the storm winds, there was absolutely nothing that anyone could do to stop it. I mean, the flames would leap across, for example, this road width, or the wind would carry a burning branch from the one side to the other and set the fire off again. In the path of the fire, the heat was so devastating that plantations or vegetation and houses would burst into flames before the fire actually reached them. So that's the intensity of the heat caused things just to spontaneously combust. Now, there was a lot of unhappiness and discussion over the cause of the fire. Initially, it was deemed to be arson, but at a later point they determined that it was in fact a fire caused by a lightning strike. There was huge debate because a microlight pilot who lives in the Langkloof and flies regularly over the mountain to this side of the Langkloof mountains, had seen the fire a number of occasions. On a number of occasions, it was a small fire, smouldering in the thick bush. He reported it to the fire people. Not only did he report it, he told them where it was on more than one occasion, and he even took photographs of the smoke from the smouldering fire in the bushes. So the guys were made aware on more than one occasion of this fire, but because it was a small smouldering thing, no one did anything about it. And by the time the storm moved in and the winds fanned that small smouldering fire into a raging ball of flames, it was too late. They tried in vain to curtail the fire, but it was almost immediately out of control. So yeah, it just shows you one small little fire that's smouldering in the bushes with the right conditions can turn into something absolutely devastating. I'm leaving Knysna. I'm on the way home. I'm going to call it a day for the video today, and for those of you that watched, glad you watched, hope you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button please, and hopefully we'll see you in the next ride.